Hello, and welcome to episode number 53 of Just Shillin', or as I call it, the sophomore slump, because how do we follow up from episode 52? It's going to be an uphill battle, but we're going to try our best. I'm one of your hosts, Sean Hoffman.
And I am, hopefully, your other host, Andy Bell, currently recording from a hospital bedroom. So the Wi-Fi is stable, I hope. And I'm hoping I'm coming through loud and clear your end, Sean.
Yeah, you sound good. And that the walls behind you, I assume it's not a 3D background replacement. It looks nice. It looks nicer than mine.
Yeah. So for context, folks, I've come into hospital for some tests this week. And I've been very, very fortunate enough to be given a private room. And I tipped off the care team that are looking after me that I may need some time to myself between the hours of 7 and 9 on Wednesday. Would that
strong Wi-Fi?
would that be a problem? And they were very gracious and they accommodated me so that I could talk to my good buddy Sean about the masterpiece that is Skeleton Crew that ended today.
Because we're professionals.
Because we're professionals. We're professionals. So I'm hoping this is stable enough, and I'm hoping we won't have too many technical problems. But here I am. Good to be talking to you, Sean.
Yeah, you as well. You're a sight for sore eyes, man.
So then tell me, buddy, how was your last 3 days? Oh, how's your last 3 days been? Because it's only been 3 days since episode 52.
I mean, if I'm completely honest, they're not great. Skeleton Crew has been the shining beacon, like the Gandalf on the mountaintop or on the hilltop with the staff, and everybody's like, I can't see. Oh, what the hell? Like that Skeleton Crew in an otherwise not great couple days, but you know what? Keeping our head up, we're stomping forward, and we're figuring it out day by day. I don't have a lot of room to complain, but you know what? It's not been terrible. Might have to make some adjustments to my upcoming schedule, but we can figure that out as it comes. I feel like I've done something recently besides Skeleton Crew, but it's most people do like spring cleaning. I've been doing like, it's winter, and this is like the least opportune time to do something, because it's like, well, can't really open. I mean, you can, I do, like open a window to air a room out, and it's like, you know what I should do? I should take on a bunch of tasks right before like things get crazy. And now it's like, now I'm like, I have a lot of to-do lists and to-do actions in motion, and that I can't complete most of them. So it's like, I shouldn't have started. But it's just,
what have I done?
Winter. Yeah. Well, can I put all the stuff back in that room and say like, I will finish the reorganization of this room. At least I didn't start painting. I've learned. I didn't like take on remodeling at the same time.
Yeah.
So that is fantastic. But other than that, how's your week? How's your couple days been?
No, it's been fine. I mean, it's been very, 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 very binary quiet. Sorry, in that. As I said, I've come into hospital for a few more days of tests. There's a few things that need to be fixed on me, and so in for testing at the moment. So as a result of that, it really has been the be all and end all of the last 3 days. All I need to say, what I was going to use this slot to say was just a massive, massive thank you to Tom Chikansky for joining us on Sunday to make our year anniversary meaningful, and for bringing his game. I mean, he came with an awful lot of engagement. He engaged in the conversation, really thought about kind of what we were thinking of when it came down to the kind of theme of the episode. And just thank you, Tom, for again deeming us worthy enough to come on. So that was very, very cool indeed.
I keep leaning back on the like the same phrase. It just like the first thing that comes to me every time. It's like he elevates the conversation. Like he just
Oh God, yeah.
he takes where we're at. He meets us there, and he's like, "Come on, follow me. We're going to greater places, greener pastures. We're about to
Yeah.
get some wrinkles in our brain." You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And couldn't ask for a nicer
that's for
dude.
sure. That's for sure. So, yeah, thank you, Tom. Thank you very much indeed. Did you pick up any news this week? Or sorry, picked up any news in the last 3 days? I mean, I've got a little sprinkle, but apart from that, I've kind of, as I said, I've been a little bit preoccupied.
Yeah, in all honesty, dude, like I was like sitting there thinking about it. It's like one, I haven't been following the news because it's like crazy. It's crazy out there, man. But I've been so in golf. That's not the right word. Whatever. I have been stuck intentionally. I don't know the proper word here. I'm losing it. I just can't stop listening to Going Rogue. Like I've been listening to that podcast, and it's like every time. I think that's what started this whole like let's reorganize this room, because I have a podcast with a bunch of episodes, and I could just mindlessly do things while I'm like listening to that, and it's that's been all my free time, I feel like. So I have no news.
I mean, so is that your consumption as well? Is that your kind of news and watching, listening, playing, reading as well?
That's been my listening, and everything else is basically the same. Skeleton Crew, and I will reiterate, we've been watching King of the Hill, and it's like it's been wild. I haven't seen that show in
That's
a long
so cool.
time, but
That's so cool.
But it's like I can't tell because Madison's never seen it. It's like it came out in '97, and she's like, it's so like good because it is backwards in a lot of ways, but it also has a lot of like more progressive things. And it's like, was that how things were, or did it like predict how things would become at times? And it's just very interesting how much it still resonates to this day. That's
yeah.
Not
No,
to
it
jump
does.
forward, but that is all my consumption.
Okay, well, I'll jump in. The only news I picked up this week was the Daredevil Born Again trailer, which came out, I think it was today. Well, that's certainly when I saw it. That looks gnarly. It's really, really gnarly. You know, in the way that the Batman kind of applied a certain amount of aggressive, visceral gnarliness, if that's a word.
Punches,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, punches that hurt. The Born Again trailer also looks equally as gnarly. That was interesting. But that's the only news I picked up in 3 days. Everything that I've been watching, Black Sails, Deadwood, Traders Shrinking, it's all on hold at the moment this week while I get a few while I'm in here. So I'm not gonna go into that too much. But like you, I have had an awful lot of opportunity to listen to stuff, and like you, I'm addicted to Going Rogue. Man. I can't stop listening, and it's a little bit like I follow a few behind the scenes type of podcasts, like Showmentaries, for example. Jamie Benning, I've spoken about him before, and they're very, very good in that he brings on some very, very clever, creative people that were involved in the process of a particular production, typically in special effects, or in post or pre-production or editing or what have you, and they have a particular discipline. What this pod does, I think, is something very, very different, and I implore anyone to listen to, for example, this morning's review of the finale to get Sean's view on Going Rogue as well. In that it's a very, very good summary of how I also feel about this particular pod. It's very, very cool. I've also got while I'm here, I've also got something to read, so I've started reading through some of the the remaining Firefly graphic novels that that I hadn't had time to read while I was on holiday. And of course, I'm still very, very late at night because I am on my own. I have my own room, and it's my party, and I'll cry if I want it.
Yeah.
I've been playing on the Steam Deck, so little bit of Mad Max, a little bit of Hogwarts, a little bit of Hogwarts Legacy. Good game, actually. Hogwarts. I'm not a Harry Potter aficionado in any way, and certainly not particularly. I'm not a particular fan of that franchise. But in terms of being a game, very, very good game. Very, very good game.
Yeah.
Particularly on a handheld platform as well. So yeah, it's kind of been my 3 days, which has been. It's been quite relaxing. It's been quite nice. There's no work to worry about. Not at the moment, anyway. So, yeah, it's been cool. It's been very, very cool. But I guess
I have been reading something as well. I did forget this, and I don't think I mentioned it yet. A little bit each night, I've been reading my own graphic novel. Not my own, like I wrote it, but a graphic novel, because I don't have a lot of graphic novels, but I got one recently on a whim, and I've just been loving it to death. It's called Penny, Penny, and it's a graphic novel memoir of this guy's cat. He's I've drawn a blank, but he's like a cartoonist for like a newspaper or a web thing. I can't remember where.
sweet.
But he wrote like this graphic novel of his cat Penny in like how he perceives her like day to day. And it's just,
Right.
it's so well done, and it's so funny, and it's super like philosophical. Like the cat's like talking about like, oh, I used to, be free and yada, yada, yada. Then it's like, it gets a little catnip in its system, and it turns into like the Vader comic series where everything's like trippy and weird. And it's like very like, speaking like it's a scholar and just what's
Nice.
aware. And it's just super funny and kind of like light, like something at nighttime to like kind of unwind and be like, I'm gonna read a couple pages. It's usually like one page each, so that's like kind of self-contained, or a couple pages is like a little individual story, almost like a comic. And
Nice.
it's just kind of not. It's
I
kind
like
of take a couple pages and do that. Yeah, it's fun. I like it.
I like the concept. I love the concept. That's very cool. It's very, very cool indeed. So that leaves, I guess, because it has been such a short time since we last spoke,
Yes.
I guess that leaves us with, let's say, the event, certainly the biggest thing that I've seen in quite a while, which is the finale of Skeleton Crew, and how we feel about it. And I mean, I've listened to, we're very much on the back foot here, in that I've listened to, there's been a few recordings or immediate reviews, including your own, and a Hall's, which again I implore everyone to listen to. There's been the guys down in Australia, so you've got the Spell Will Spell Out team. That unfortunately I couldn't join them today because of things, because of where I am at the moment. I couldn't join them today, which I'm a little bit gutted about. Would have been nice to have joined them because it sounded hilarious, the fun they were having. So I implore everyone to do that. So I've listened already to an awful lot of people's views, some of which I kind of agree with, some of which I have my own. But I did I went back to the old days, did a little bit of research, and actually wrote down some notes as well as to how I was feeling. Yeah. I didn't. This isn't off the cuff, dude. I've had time today to actually write down some notes as to, if you like, sequentially as things are happening, as to how I felt about certain things, rather than go through what actually happened, wax lyrical, because I've heard that so much today. I thought, well, let's just go through how I felt about certain things at certain times.
Well, now we have the big picture too. So like now you can talk about the whole.
Exactly. So while I already know how you feel about this, this televisual extravaganza that we saw today, that we witnessed today, let our listeners know what you thought of the series, or hopefully the season.
Yeah.
What did you think?
So I will say, what's funny is like I haven't listened to anybody else's reviews, and in all honesty, I do those immediate reactions with Hawes so quickly after watching it that, dude, I don't even remember what I said. I don't remember. I can barely remember what he said. I don't. It's like because it's such a fever dream at times. And now I think I have a different perspective of like reactions, like when people do like immediate reaction stuff, and sometimes it's so like I appreciate the rawness, but dude, it is.
So do you guys? You guys have no time? I mean, at least with Josh and the guys, they have a few hours because obviously the timing of.
It's like I message him. It's like, hey, I'm done. Like the credits are rolling, and he's like, yep, I'm almost done. Headed there, and then like within 5-10 minutes, we're recording. Like, and it's usually just immediate. Like I think if I left that Disney Plus running, the credits would still be rolling by the time he pushes record. And so
wow.
I will say, I don't think I remember in my most recent recording, I didn't come across as super enthusiastic about the ending. Now that the more I think about it, but I think I was mostly like just grieving of like, dude, it's over. Like it's it. This is what we're getting. And so I want to hear what you have to say, but I will say I really enjoyed it. Like I loved this show. I loved this season. Did we get all the answers? No. Am I upset about that? Not at all. Like I think in other shows I felt like Bad Batch and stuff where it felt like you didn't get a lot of answers because it just felt like it was stringing us along a lot. Like it's like cartoons do, like the Rocky and Bowling.
Yeah.
Like, oh, next season we'll figure out the answers. This didn't feel like that. This felt self-contained and like there is stuff unfinished, but it's like this story feels complete. Not that we're never going to see these people again, but it just feels complete. And I like that. And it just feels so warm and cozy. And I loved it. Like, enthusiastically. And that's my high level.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to hear what you think because I know this is very passionate to you as well.
Oh, I loved it. And then, did I get all the answers that I wanted to? No, but I kind of like that as well. Mm-hmm. I also kind of like the fact that so much of it was left unanswered. And I'm probably jumping the gun a little bit, but I love the fact that like I said, some of the questions that I had were left unanswered. Some of which, again, I may be repeating other people's views as well, so my apologies for that. But the look on Jude's face at the end of Space Jude is alive. He's alive. He didn't redeem himself in any way, but on the other hand, he didn't have a death of any kind. He just stayed. He stayed there, turned his back, turned around, and we got a wry smile. And that wry smile to me suggests there's something for the future. Yeah. Whether it's to do with him, whether it's to do with something else associated with this, I'm not saying it's a season 2. I definitely don't think it's a season 2, but I think there is a future there, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a second because I also got the same feeling from Wim as well. You know, when Wim, I'm typical Andy logic where he starts at the very, very end and works his way back. In that you've got this, as I said, you've got this wry smile from Jude Law. Then you've got Wim, who is the kids make a comment about not having to. At least you don't have to take the assessment anymore, and he just looks up at the wreckage of the starship, and then the sky, and two X-wings flying off into the sky, and there's that again. There's a wry smile there that suggests something for the future. It suggests there is a story to be told beyond this, which fills me with hope that something is coming. And I don't mean something as obvious as a season 2, because I don't think it needs a season 2. But I do think that there are some elements there that could quite strategically and quite cleverly be pushed into something else. We talk about the Avengers moment in the Avengers Ensemble moment in Mando. I hope it doesn't. I hope it doesn't land there. Maybe it's me at the moment, but the whole, like I said to you, I think I'm Mandoed out a little bit, just a little bit. In that we need more than just one brand of Star Wars that's successful going forward. And so I hope it breathes life into other avenues that can be equally as successful as Mando. But yeah, no. My summary is I loved it. I've loved every minute of it. It takes me back to a time in my life where I was very happy and very, very carefree. It takes me back. It just makes me smile. I mean, it's just so well put together, good natured, and a really, really good story. And it doesn't have to be more complicated than that. So I loved every minute of it.
To your point a minute ago about like the storytelling and the season 2 and stuff, like I think a lot of that is kind of where my head's been at too, like what I've been really kind of processing on like what this means. And I know we've talked about it a little bit last week where we talked about like wrapping up the stories and kind of the intermingling of things, and like we don't have a lot of stuff on the docket, and like how do they see this through, like what's the future of these kind of stories in Star Wars. And I think I might, the start of the thought kind of happened when I was talking to Hawes, and I'm sure there's a point where you can like see it kind of entering my head, and I've kind of thought about it more, and it's kind of become hope now at this point where it's like, I'm kind of firmly in camp. Like, I don't want a season 2. Like, there's an asterisk there of like a footnote saying as like a traditional season 2 where it's just a continuation of a story and now they've caught some new problem, yada, yada, yada. I'm also in the camp of, I hope this isn't like them appearing in Mandalorian season 3.
Yeah.
I think my hope comes in that it's like, I'm hopeful that like, similar to what like Kevin Feige and those guys did over at Marvel, where they perfected that like a bunch of movies kind of self-contained. They have bits of other pieces, and it all culminates in a larger event. I'm hoping this is like the next version of that they've learned, and like Disney's learned from like the last 14 years of releases and things.
So you mean they're integral rather than being a gimmick? I understand what you mean. So rather than turning up in somebody else's property or somebody else's, then they're not a gimmick. They're not using the gimmick. They use something that's integral.
And I'm hopeful that it's even. I would even go a step further. I'm hopeful that like with people's experience with streaming and like the changes in syndication, like I've gone down the rabbit hole on this. It's like the changes in syndication has brought along. I'm hoping that maybe they've learned a new strategy, and it's like, we don't need a season 2. We don't need a 2 and 3 of Mando to then introduce like this Luke and Ahsoka thing. It's like, we can just make a whole new show and it doesn't matter. It could just be a different name. Like, so instead of Mandalorian, all of a sudden Skeleton Crew comes in, it's like, it could just be a new show that's a different story, and those people can intermingle and it's meaningful, and it kind of breaks down, it separates the like, what is the show title and yada, 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 versus like, it's just easier to make a season 2 of an existing production, but then we're going to introduce all these other stories to it. Like, if that makes sense, like, cause I think that's where I get caught. It's like,
it does.
It whip in those guys, but not.
It does make sense. What you're saying is it's its own thing. It's its own thing rather than being, if you like, it's its own thing rather than having to rely on other properties to make it happen. It's a living and breathing entity in its own right.
Story is key. Story is number
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Besides the business,
Yeah.
like story is number one, and it's like creating a new Word document. It's like, well, we have this existing
Yeah.
Word document. It's like all I gotta do is press Control New, and it's the same. It doesn't matter. There's no overlap.
Yeah, yeah. But it's
Create
like
a new
it's like
show.
exactly. It's like I said. It's like I said with It's like I said with when we were with Tom last week, or sorry, 3 days ago. We were with Tom 3 days ago. It was yeah. It 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 it. We don't have. Okay, the 12-year-old boy in me is at the moment absolutely besotted with anything to do with pirates. Absolutely loving it. You know, and I'm going back and looking at. I mean, and I'm not the only one, because I've already seen on the socials today. I saw on Blue Sky. If you liked Skeleton Crew, you would like Treasure Island. You would like Treasure Planet. You would like all of these things that I've been Explorers. You would like Stand By Me. You will like all of that stuff. So I'm not the only one that thinks that way. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, yeah, the 12-year-old inside me would like that as a genre going forward, regardless of the story and regardless of the, regardless of the story. It doesn't have to be the same story, but as a genre, I would like to see Star Wars focus a lot more on the younger. On the younger viewer. I think it makes for, well, it kind of, if you like, reinforces the legacy of Star Wars. It means that we're going to get early adopters that keep this franchise going, because we're very, very much in danger of it dying out unless we do something to appeal to that younger generation. So A, you've got that, but B, it's also fresh. It's also keeps it exciting and keeps the whole thing bubbling along nicely. But so that's the first thing. A, I would like that genre anyway. Secondly, the Star Wars lends itself, or loans, so many tropes from so many different things, such as, you know, the gun. Like I said on Sunday, the gunslinger story. We have we've now had with Rogue One, we've had the war story. We've had the kind of Saving Private Ryan kind of environment. Yes, damn right, we should have pirates in its own category. We've got the smugglers. We've got the smugglers in Han Solo, and all that kind of stuff. Damn right, we should expand on that. And the great thing about it, and I keep repeating myself, and I do apologize, everyone. The great thing about it is they already have assets there. They already have characters there that could be fleshed out, that could be developed. And yes, Hondo and Naka, let's get that guy. It's so easy. It's so easy. We are already leaning into, I wouldn't even call it the EU, but the pre-EU, the old Marvel stuff, with things like Crimson Jack. We're already, which could be a code net. He doesn't have a little bit like the Dread Pirate Roberts from Princess Bride, as we've talked about before. You know, there's so much that we could lean on, and there's content there that already we can use, that it's such a shame to not leverage that if the powers that be want to do it on the cheap, because let's face it, a lot of the assets are already there, and secondly, just give it a go. Just give the whole thing a go, because it makes sense. Anyway,
I like what you're saying about the kid focused Star Wars. Like, as much as I love all of it. Like, I love the serious grittiness of Andor. I love the animation style. I love visions. I like all the different things. But it's like, but I do like this this trend that we're in. It's like, oh, it made me remember like how much I liked kid-focused Star Wars like this, because it changes the requirements, the perceived requirements for the producers and the writers, and it's like they're trying to accomplish a different goal. Like other Star Wars, like the Mandoverse stuff, it's like, and Ahsoka and things like that, they're trying to answer questions. They're filling in lore. Like they are, to me, like this, I don't mean this as a negative. It's like it's filling in gaps and filling in spaces of like existing expectations, and it's giving us answers along with adventure. This Skeleton Crew feels more like pure adventure. It's like, and it doesn't need to answer the questions of like, oh, is it magnets? Is it this? Is it, oh, who is Jod's, like, as much as I want to know, who is Jod's former master, or not even master, like who saved him, who did, like, and it's just like, it's not important right now. Like, it's just really focused on like the kids' experience and the adventure and kind of the hopefulness of it. And it's like,
well, we know. Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I think that, answering questions like that, we didn't need to go into that kind of detail, because it that in itself, you'd go down a rat hole. It would create way too much speculation. And then you'd spend way too much time. If you found out who the master, at the end of the day, if you follow Star Wars, Order 66 happened. That all of the Jedi were hunted down by the Emperor, or on Darth Vader and his agent, in which the Inquisitors. We know that. So ultimately, we know from the conclusion of today that someone that was a Jedi took him in, saw potential, but was killed, and he was forced to see that person being killed. That's all we need to know. That's all we need to know. Do we need any more detail than that? No, we don't, because at the end of the day, does it impact the story? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Could it confuse the story? Yes, it could. In which case,
we will get it one day in some form.
Yeah, somebody one day will do it. But yeah, no, I'm totally with you, man. And I think that keeping it simple. We've talked about it before. We talk about some of the young reader. I think it's the young reader novels that are out there. Some of the best stories that we've got, because it keeps it simple. It doesn't trick. It doesn't. I'll say something. I don't mind. I mean, I don't care about saying something controversial, but I think what Skeleton Crew did really well, which Willow, the TV series, did not do really well, was that they told a good story that treated children like adults. In other words, it was a really, really good story that was purposely focused on having children or younger people as the main protagonist, but it didn't treat them like children. It didn't treat them like children, and didn't patronize them in any way. Both in terms of the parts that were being played, but also the way that it was presented to the younger viewer as well.
It was a show,
and I think that's
about kids.
Exactly. I think that's where an awful lot of shows that are supposedly targeted at a younger demographic go wrong, because they treat children like children. Rather than kids these days are a lot more astute, they're a lot more intelligent, they're a lot more savvy, they're a lot more connected than they ever have been before, and that's where I think some shows have been a success, and some shows perhaps have not resonated so well with the target demographic.
And not that I didn't enjoy Willow, because I did enjoy the Willow series, but I recognize that when I recognize why. It's like that's the difference between a nostalgia series, like a story, that's written with nostalgia for the people, with the target demographic of the people who saw it originally back in the day. Like it's writing a show for adults with hinging on nostalgia versus something like Skeleton Crew, where it's like it's focusing on a good story with like all the stuff that you were saying. It's like it's not, there's nostalgic elements, but it's like it's not nostalgia first for the people. Like, yeah,
Exactly.
like a kid growing up today, like all of our friends whose kids are watching it, and they're enjoying it. Like they're not sitting there going, "Oh, that's like E.T. That's like Amblin-esque. Oh, that's like the Goonies." It's like, no, they're just enjoying it. Like
Exactly.
I think some people twist it and get it confused. They're like, "Oh, they just cherry picked all the stuff from the 80s and 90s, like that weren't done those movies, and they're just doing it for nostalgia's sake." It's like, no, they're doing it because it works. Like,
Yeah.
like that's why those movies were popular then, and that's why kids are enjoying this now. It's like it's
well to your point, had you done it the way that, had that been the reason why it was made, it would have failed.
Yeah,
it would have failed. Because there's not enough equity there in order for it to be successful. You cannot invest any more. Probably since the Force Awakens, nostalgia only goes so far. It only goes so far.
Yeah.
It really does. So, dude, can I just go through this list of thoughts that I had?
Yeah.
I mean, this is literally because I knew that folk were going to be talking about this throughout the day, and I just literally thought I would write down stuff that I was thinking as and when I was watching it. So the first thought for me was there's no turning back for John. I thought that there was maybe an opportunity for him to redeem himself, but let's face it, he was pretty nasty guy, and there's absolutely no way that he would come back. But I don't know, man.
Can I jump in on that, because I have a note?
He
when you're done with that thought. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I don't know. He still had demonstrated a huge amount of regret that he didn't want things to go a certain way. He didn't want, he demonstrated genuine concern when KB crashed the ship. And so I don't know. I mean, can you forgive the guy? No, some of the stuff he did was pretty despicable. Then again, some of the stuff that he did, I mean, where we saw him actually in last week, for example, where he shot Brutus. Brutus was a bit of a nasty bastard anyway, and probably deserved it at what was coming to him. But yeah, sorry, you tell me what you're thinking.
No, I mean, I want you to get all of that through, because I've had a thought about that too, because I haven't been online a lot, but I keep seeing this kind of conversation of like, oh, this debate of like, oh, is Jod evil? Oh, he's not really evil. Oh, can he get a redemption? Can he turn around? It's like, specifically on the evil thing, I think it's very interesting of like how black and white a lot of us look at it at times. Like Palpatine is evil. Like evil is a strong, like that is like literal. It's like, you're evil. Like, you're Darth Vader, and you're evil until you were convinced to not be evil. With Jod, it's like, I don't think he's ever evil. He's just an asshole. Like, he's just greedy, but greed doesn't make you evil. Like, he didn't, like you're saying, he didn't want to hurt people. Like, he did care. I think he does care for those kids in as much as he can. I think, like, does he get a redemption? It's like, I don't think redemption's the word. Like, I know I'm being pedantic, but it's like, I don't think redemption's the right word, because he's like, he had a goal. He's like, I'm a pirate. I want money. I am the way I am. Like, he's an asshole for sure. But at the end of the day, he didn't hurt anybody. He really didn't. He did not want to hurt people, and he was upset about KB. And like, like I mentioned him with Hawes at the end. I'm like, at first I was caught off guard when he just threw the gun down when the kids had the lightsaber and saw the X-Wings come through. It's like, if he was evil, he would have just shot him. He would have shot all of them and been like, he would have been mad and just killed everybody. He'd be like, it's over anyways. I could just kill you, and then you can't tell anybody I was here because they like. But he's not evil, and it's just like, oh, he needs a redemption. It's like, no, he's just gonna go be a pirate still. Like at the end of the day, the kids still aren't hurt, and he didn't want to hurt them. Like, but they were getting in his way of that. I know it's like weird and pedantic, but it's just
and the way it was
Kylo Ren and stuff,
and the way that Jude Law acted him as well was kind of like just like a frustrated dude. It's like, kids are getting in my way. Just get out the bloody way. I'm trying to get this job done. It's not like what am I trying to say? It's not like to your point. It's not. He hasn't got a message to deliver. He doesn't want absolute power. He just wants the goddamn money. It's like, kids, just get out of my frigging way. It's just, you're really annoying the crap out of me, and now your parents are annoying the crap out of me as well.
Because I know a lot of people don't believe this from what I've heard. I do think at the end of the day, if everybody would have gotten out of his way, I think they would have taken an ass ton of money and left. I don't think they would have. I don't think they wanted to bring the barrier down. I don't think they would. No. Maybe come back at some point. Like, but I think he just wanted to take his big the monster pirate ship, fill it with a bunch of money, then just bounce and not hurt people.
Yeah.
The other pirates, I do think some of them maybe don't live to a certain code that maybe Jod was holding himself to, which is a trope that we see all the time. You got the captain who is the one who's got the structure and the I don't say morals, that's the wrong word, the code. And then the minions who are like, we're gonna bring fear to the hearts of millions. But
let me move up.
The Scooby-Doo thing I said, I was like, oh, these meddling kids just like go away for like a minute. Get out
of the goddamn way. So what also made me laugh was that the supervisor, you were right. You were absolutely right. Supervisor, gigantic droid head that basically controls a hive mind. So all of the droids were controlled. Sorry, all of the protector droids were controlled by basically the Wizard of Oz. Which I found, I wouldn't say predictable, but it kind of it made sense. It made sense. It tied that bit up. It was okay. We talked.
Mom being like, oh yeah, duh, was the most like that was the strangest.
Yeah. I mean, it was. But we talked about it last week. Is that there's an awful lot to squeeze into half an hour, 40 minutes, 50 minutes. There's a heck of a lot of that, and this kind of tied it up quite nicely. And it wasn't particularly creative. No, it wasn't, but it was fine. It was absolutely fine. And the fact that it was the voice of Stephen Fry was kind of cool. But yeah, no, the fact that by taking him out, that took out the immediate threat to the parents, which was the protector droids. Although, were they a threat to the parents? I don't know. When they picked up the kids, they seemed to go about their business again. They didn't really. The fact that the threat clearly was from within didn't really seem to bother them anymore. They went back to their normal lives with our friend Neil, for example, in the bar, which I find hilarious.
It is interesting. Like, well, there's two pieces. The design aspect. It's like I do love that the design of the supervisor was like, it's just a big droid head. Like they just said, make it 10 times bigger and put it on the floor. And nailed it. The second part is, I just thought it was interesting. Like, this isn't a criticism. It's like, they're like, an emissary can come in and it's like, dang, they hold a lot of power to be like, and I want you to monitor these people. They are in trouble. And they just said, yep, all right, you're under surveillance as per the emissary. It's like, dang, like they hold a lot of power.
Yeah, they do. But also smart enough to see through bullshit as well. But we'll talk about that later. Neil's brother. So when the ship goes down, when the ship finally goes down, and the everyone's looking up into the sky, and the pirates start firing on the crowds that are looking up in the sky, which I thought was very, very War of the World. Had a lot of War of the Worlds vibes. You know, when the ship comes down, everyone's actually just looking up to it. And I would, if I looked up at a ship with a shitload of guns pointing at me, I would run a mile very, very quickly. But you've got all of these people out in the streets looking up at these ships, who start firing. And I don't know if you noticed, but one of Neil's younger brothers just goes pow 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 pow.
Yeah.
It just made me giggle while they're outside. The hover bike scene, I know people have already talked about this. The hover bikes, straight out of ET. You know, the fact that our troop of kids they're determined to save the day. What do? We get on our bikes, and again, I'm sorry if this sounds like I'm lifting off other podcasts that I've listened to today, but it's the immediate. These are literally my thoughts written down as I was watching it.
I haven't listened to him yet, so this is all
Okay.
First time hearing it.
The invasion when Space Dude says, you know, invade. This is the invasion. Go guys, go. It reminded me of the is it the Chitauri or the Chitauri in the Avengers?
Yeah.
You know, the original Avengers movie, where you had these very small craft that were, kind of like flying through the streets of New York or wherever it was meant to be filmed.
Like the skiff, in Jedi.
Shooting up that I got major Avengers vibes there. In that invasion, as they're taking over the or corralling, that's the word I'm thinking of, corralling the population of a Tatooine. That's what I got from that. The kids got to the ship, and when the kids got to the ship, I mean, they were already kind of in mission mode. Oh, sorry, they were already in mission mode when they were initially what's the word I'm thinking of? Reprimanded and taken back, and their parents were reunited with them. They were already kind of on high alert. But when they got to the ship, I felt that's when they were all at their peak performance. They knew exactly what to do. I mean, William's dad said, you know, you can fly this thing. You can fly, and every single member of the skeleton crew had their job, and they knew exactly what was going on. They were in control. It looked really, 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 really good. It was really, really, really good. In that, I felt that at that moment in time, each character had found their specialism. Should we say specialism?
Yeah.
And that in itself was a really, really satisfying conclusion to their character development story for me in a finale. So I thought that was pretty damn cool. Going back to our love of spaceship Born, I thought the large pirate capital ship, I love that design. I love that design. There is a designer. I'll find it. But there is a starship designer from the 1970s, 1980s, but predominantly 1970s. That used to design very organic ships. And in fact, I believe he is been cited as being the inspiration for Firefly, the Serenity hero ship in the TV series Firefly. But that I love the way that ship was designed. I love the fact that it basically was an aircraft carrier. It was nothing less than a big hangar with obviously a lot of detailing around it, but the style and the design of that ship in particular, I really appreciate it. And if they do something along those lines, something along the lines, maybe the Fantasy Flight games or anything like that, I'll certainly try and get my hands on that. We then see the dad stepped up eventually. You know, we saw him being somewhat cowardly and somewhat very much part of the system. But I felt that in this episode in particular, he really did step up and kind of use his analyst.
A level 9 something analyst or whatever.
Yeah. Using that to his advantage was great. And then Neil definitely steps up, and this is in sequential order. This is as I'm watching it. So following that, Neil quite rightly finds the gun on the mast on the roof of the school, and boy does he get to use it. Mm-hmm. Boy does he do some damage, which is fantastic. What I have here as a separate aside is the young lady who I should have looked up her name, but the young lady that plays Fern is an amazing actor. Amazing actor. She did really, really well today, and it was. I am talking about a moment. This was written down at a moment in time where she is still in the same room as where the supervisor is based, in that she's pleading to her mum to help them by shutting down the shield. However, when she believes KB has crashed the ship and has died, that the pure emotion and pure what's the word I'm thinking of?
Like her anguish.
Exactly. Yeah, that she demonstrates it at that moment is absolutely superb. When she talking about KB, holding 33's head so he can fly properly.
Yeah.
He says, "Hold me head steady, girl. Hold me head steady." And she's literally flying. He's literally flying the ship, but while his head is being held by KB, and that made me laugh an awful lot. And KB, oh good God, she saved the day. Yeah. I mean, you have every right for her being your favourite character. She saved the day. She really stepped up at that moment, but she also stepped up at the moment a few minutes later when the ship was going down, and she while being encouraged by her parents, was able to fix the ship enough to save herself.
You know who's useless? Her parents. She's like calling them, and she's like, hide, and they're like, you mean sit in the living room window and watch them kick the door in and grab us? It's like, God, listen. And what do you think they're gonna do? I just thought that's funny. It's like, not good listeners. She learned this on her own.
No. So that's for sure. That's for sure. I've written here again. Jod really does regret folk being killed, and that obviously that's straight after KB being seen as supposedly crashing the ship, and we've already talked about it, so I won't talk about it again. But I genuinely believe that an awful lot of what he says is bluster. It's banter. It's to get things moving. It's to get things done. It's what pirates say to act threatening. It's what they. It's not a reflection on themselves. His force powers are very limited. Very, very limited. and I think that was obvious. I mean, he's got a little bit of skill with the blade, in that he was able to deflect a couple of blaster shots from the droids when the supervisor asked him to reprimand him, or sorry, to contain him. But ultimately, he didn't in the struggle with the kids and with the parents. He wasn't strong with the force. He couldn't. I mean, he was pulling the kids who were holding on to the lightsaber. They were literally being dragged along the floor.
Yeah.
Sorry, I beg your pardon?
He mostly gets people flat-footed. Like, it's like tug of war a little bit. It's like, he's just rip it away. It's like, oh, hold on, then let go, and they fall down, and then this, and it's like he's pulling.
And I quite like that. Yeah. I like that in his character, and his character's flawed. Again, he's like, we're all flawed in one way or another, except for, if you like, our main protagonists and our main heroes in the main movies, who would use a force pull like that, and it would come straight out of the person's hand, because it was with so much power. Excuse me. The mum finally steps up, as I said, and that's when we see the shields finally go down, and we see the New Republic jump in, and my heart sang when I saw that B-wing. I think you know, the B-wing is my favorite fighter, because it looks so wrong in many ways, but it
looks so impractical.
Exactly. But no, I absolutely loved it, and I love the callback to the Rebels episode as well, where we see the full,
that goofy gunshot thing,
destructive configuration of the B-wing.
Yeah.
We're all four lasers.
Yeah.
Where all four lasers converge into one large laser, a little bit like a Death Star, if you will.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was great, because we saw that in the hero episode. It is the hero episode, isn't it? Where she test flights the original B-ring, right? Is that right?
Yeah. That one guy had, and he was like making it, and it was all busted and weird. And
the Moncar, the Moncar guy. Yeah. That's what I thought. Okay, Paris did it. Yeah, that's right. Then I wrote kind of around the conclusion, really. What happened to John? What happened to John? No, actually, before I ask that question, because that is speculation. I've written here, the look on Wim's face demonstrates a promise of more adventure to come, and that was my conclusion of the episode, if you like, and as a result, the season itself. So there are more adventures to come. I do not believe, as I said, it's going to be in the guise of the Skeleton Crew season 2. But Wim's adventure, Wim's smile to himself, and also Jod's little smirk to himself as well, give me a hint that something else is coming along the way. So
what's the equivalent?
Let me ask the question.
Like two pirates on different ships going different directions and like seeing each other. It's like, until next time.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Like a respectful kind of like, I could turn and chase you, but not today. We'll meet again.
Exactly. So that's what I wrote. That was again, I wanted to do something a little bit different. They were my thoughts as and when I was watching them first thing this morning. I don't know what you think. I don't know whether you agree with it, some of the stuff. I don't know whether you like some of the stuff that I pointed out.
I do.
But that's kind of where I am. I'm certainly yeah, I'm certainly hopeful for the future of Star Wars if they can churn stuff like this out. Whether I get Pirates again or not, okay. If I don't get it, I'll live with it. If we don't get the same people again, okay, I'll live with it. Although I think that's a crying shame, because I think that, quite frankly, Jude Law in Star Wars is an absolute firecracker. Having him working in Star Wars, and that would be a very wasted opportunity if he was interested in doing more, and they don't capitalize on that. Anyway, yeah. So, what do you think, dude?
The Jod thing and the Whim thing I thought was very poignant. I think, like, I agree with what you were saying, with like, oh, there's more adventures, but I also think it, like, for Whim specifically, when he saw the blockade runner coming through, I think it was kind of like not closing the book, but like finishing the chapter of like his sentiment towards Ad-Atten and like his struggles with like story versus reality, and his desire for something more interesting and desire for more, his search for like who are the good guys, who are the Jedi, who is the good versus evil, and then seeing the X-Wings, but then seeing like the blockade runner come through as like, to me, I felt like that was closure for him of like, there it is. Like, I did the right thing, and now the good guys are here. That's a landing craft kind of like, I knew we were on the right path, and we did the right thing. And the good guys are here to like, I'm a part of it. But it's also that like, the adventure's not over. Like, what's next? I do hope I do think there's a story somewhere. I don't know if it's necessarily with the kids, of like, whether it's in comics or maybe a book, of like, what's next for Ad-Atten, because I do think there's questions around like the First Order. Moving on, I made a note at one point of like, ooh, what if the kids all like moved to Batu, like with like, who owns SM-33, or like, do you own SM-33? Is he on his own? Like, who is his captain? Like, does he live with KB? Do they all move to Batu, and then SM-33 is going to have an appearance in the parks?
Yeah.
Who owns, like, because the Onyx Cinder's not destroyed. It just softly crash landed through precariously in a building.
I'm assuming well, I don't know. I mean, the kids.
Yeah.
because you know, they basically use the rule. Is it the Owens' rule? Not the Badges rule, the Owens' rule.
Claimsies.
Claimsies. Sorry,
Yeah.
the Claimsies rule. The Claimsies rule against Jordan, and 33 goes along with it. It's like, fair play, dude. I like that. You've written that into the pirate code. So I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming it's the kids. The kids own the ship. Practically speaking, I was thinking about this. It's like, practically speaking, yeah, you'd ruin the market if all of this Republic credits became available.
See, I disagree. I disagree with that so vehemently. Like, I'm like, well, go ahead, Kari, go ahead.
No. I'm just wondering: is there an authority somewhere that could just completely devalue the whole lot, so it becomes nothing? It becomes absolutely nothing. So if you think about if you think about, for example, you know, a dollar bill. A dollar bill is made out of paper. There's no value in the paper, or there's very little value in the paper itself. It's a promise to pay somebody. It's a promise to pay.
Yeah.
That is backed by currency of some sort of gold, basically. So what is a republic credit, or I don't know what to call it, a dictari? Okay, fine. So what is it? Is that in itself, those gold bars? Is that the value? Is that the value? In which case, is it easy to devalue that ore, that metal?
Is it
To,
fiat
to,
or like a gold standard kind of
exactly,
thing?
exactly.
Yeah.
Is it an ingot? Is it like an ingot, or
Yeah.
is it a promise like a dollar bill? Is it a promise to another source of to pay that person the equivalent in what would be a commodity of some sort? And I don't know what the answer is, but surely if I was an exchequer of some kind, I would find a way to grossly devalue that to the point where it wouldn't upset the economy. But I want to hear your thoughts.
So this has been something I've heard quite a bit, and I am not. First of all, I'm not an economist, and
We
with
probably guessed I'm not either.
with my limited experience working at places that deal with money, what it means, and values, things like that, and I keep hearing, I laugh because it's like, it's funny how much in me it's like, no, like when it was like, oh, it'll ruin the galactic market. I'm like, all right, I can't help but like the ADHD kicking in and being like, all right, there's like 11, like let's just round up to say 1,200 volts of this frequency. The New Republic is clearly there, so they're not gonna like let it be a free for all. But even if you say 10 volts get just rated, it's like the Republic is how big? It's not the entire galaxy, but like who all honors the galactic credit system? Like even if the entire planet's worth of treasury got leaked into the system, like to me, I feel like a galactic currency doesn't have a backing. Like there's not a. This is so stupid. I feel like there's not a gold standard. It's just like when you do things at that scale, like there has to be a faith in it, in that like this means like it's pinned, like it's pinned to the value of like, oh, these dataries are a literal, like it's not a commodity, so it's not like, oh, a datary of gold or whatever that is, space gold. What do they call it? Duragold, like Durasteel. Duragold is not. The price doesn't fluctuate. It is pinned. Like it's pegged to the value, whatever. And so a dollar credit is a dollar credit, or a pound, or whatever we call them, a credit. And so it's like, oh, it'll like cause inflation. And like at a galaxy scale, like what is the equivalent? Is this, I think I asked the question at one point. I'm like, is this planet the equivalent of like Fort Knox, the treasury? Or is it like a bank, or is it a bank, like, or a bunch of banks? And I've been fascinated with it, and I'm sure they're like, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter, but it's fun to go down that exercise because I hear so many people being like, it'll ruin the economy. It'll ruin the galactic credit. And I'm like, I'm on the other side going, will it though? Like, will it?
It's cool.
I don't know.
It's cool. It's cool. I mean, there's an awful lot of people as well that are also talking about, what happens with this planet now, and is it a, and so I want to remain positive, but there are certain things at the moment that I'm finding this so fresh, I'm finding this so exciting, I'm finding the whole thing so attention grabbing for me that I almost don't want it ruined to a certain degree. And so I hear things like, could this be a means for building the First Order? And I'm like, no, don't. It doesn't need to be. Could this be a means for Grand Admiral Thrawn to build his counterattack to the New Republic in the new film that's coming up? And it's like, no, it doesn't need to be. I kind of want it to be its own thing.
I do feel like that this is the start of the adventure we just got is like the pre-adventure, and that's kind of how that's how I'm reading Jod's smile, like at the end,
Right.
where he just kind of threw his gun down, and it's like, oh, you, like, the adventure's not over. The real adventure is now beginning. The opportunity is now here,
Yes.
because now this planet is
Yes.
open. And I do think people are gonna hook into this as like a means
Yeah.
of like, oh, the pirates are gonna be after the New Republic now has a task of getting people off this, deal with the money. And I do think it's now a target. And I think people are gonna hook stories into this. I hope it's not the whole planet is the source of the First Order's funding or Thrawn or whatever. Like, I hope that's not
Well, the thing
all
is,
there is, but I do think it's
but-
creating a chaotic event.
yeah. And the thing is though, is that I guess I'm somewhat,
A gold rush, per se.
yeah. No, I love that. I love that idea. I love that, and it can be anyone and anything and anyhow. I love that idea. In fact, I guess we have the opportunity in The Mandalorian, for example. We were looking at ways of. We were always told that it's going to it's going to explain an awful lot of the sequels trilogy. And there's going to be a lot of connective tissue there. And I almost don't want it to be, because I think that the way that they dealt with the cloning side of things in season 3 of Mandalorian was a big mess. I do, unfortunately. I thought it was a big mess for there to be such an important galactic event as the return of Palpatine through cloning, or Snoke through cloning.
Let's stop doubling down, please. Yes,
and then to take a story about a force sensitive child and insinuate or to suggest that it has something to do with that, and it still may well have something to do with it, but for the kind of the reveal in season 3 for it to be a very personal ambition of Juan Carlos, come on, what's his name? Moff Gideon. To be an ambition of Moff Gideon was somewhat disappointing for me. So I kind of want to shy away from there being way too much connected tissue and for it to be what it is in itself. And I'm sorry if I spent too much time on that, but that's kind of how I feel about the future.
I think it's a valuable conversation, because I think being honest about stuff, specifically, I think with Mandalorian, and like, it sounds like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, where I'm like, I love exposition and going into the detail and connective tissue in some ways. But I think some of the things that the Mandalorian and the Mandoverse trademark, copyright, whatever, like, at all, I think some of the ways they're doing that is a fruitless venture, where it's gone too literal, too far. I'm like, okay, somehow Palpatine returned thing, the Rise of Skywalker. Yes, some connective tissue is going to make that story better in time. But I do not think that an over explanation of like, here's everything that led to this, whether it's a Bad Batch and all the stuff with Omega, or everything that's happening with Mando and Grogu, and the Moff Gideon bananas cloning whatever nonsense. It's like, okay, maybe we're going a bit too far into the weeds, where no matter how far you go down this hole, I don't think it's going to give people the satisfaction story-wise to, like, you'd almost be better to be like, okay, you've connected it a little bit. Maybe we just ease off on that now and like just let it be, and people will be okay. But it's almost this like doubling down of like, no, we're going to make it make sense. We're going to fix it. We're going to retroactively go down this rabbit hole and be like, see, here's all the things that made it. It's not somehow we returned. It was all in secret, and all these things led up to it. It's like, okay, I like it, but maybe it doesn't have to be every episode of every show that we get in the next past 5 years and the next 10.
I have to say, I love you spoke a little bit about it this morning with Walls. I love your analogy that this seems like I wouldn't say a reboot, but the start of a repositioning of the Star Wars what am I thinking of? Slate. Slate that they've got coming up. It's kind of like, let's ease off. Let's do some relatively low risk stuff that eventually will pay dividends.
I can't help but relate
in
it
a meaningful way.
I can't help but relate it to work and be like, this is like when there's a long running project and like everybody knows that it's kind of messed up, but like it takes those handful of people to like step in front of the bus and be like, hey, I think we all need to come to the table and have a serious conversation.
Yeah.
I feel like that happens, and like you can't turn a barge, like a container ship, on a dime. And so it's like Star Wars, I believe, is a container ship. There's a lot of jobs, a lot of people, a lot of our 401ks invested in that.
Yeah.
So it's like I feel like they started turning back. This happened a while back. This is my wishful thinking. They had this conversation. Some people got sweat on their brow and were like, hey, powers that be, can we like maybe do this differently? And they started righting the ship a little bit, and we're starting to see those changes coming through.
Yeah.
And maybe this is just the going rogue in me that's like,
no, I love that. I love that philosophy, because it gives me hope. It gives me hope for the future. And again, I love the idea of it being focused on
franchises are built on hope.
I love the fact that it's been focused on this age demographic. Let's keep it really, 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 really simple. Really simple for those that want high-end drama, for those that want real gritty Star Wars, that want to feel that Star Wars has grown with you. In other words, you were 10, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 years old when you started watching Star Wars. You're now in your 40s, your 50s. Then, you may want your Star Wars to be procure. You may want to procure your Star Wars, or curate your Star Wars with your current age, around your current age, in that Star Wars has grown with you.
The OG fans, the old geriatric fans.
In which case, all right, I tell you now. In which case, Andor, you've got Andor there, but at the same time, as I said, there needs to be a future. There needs to be a future for Star Wars, and you've got the Young Jedi Adventures, which are fantastic in their own right, for what they do. But you've also got this in terms of live action, and it has. My good God, my 24-year-old youngest daughter. Sorry, Abby. My 24-year-old youngest daughter is itching to watch this with me. She doesn't do that. This is a multi-generational thing that I've really, really enjoyed, because I've been able to enjoy it with my family as well. It's in fact, I need to spend some money, because I think she's jealous of my my skeleton crew merch, and so I think I'm going to spend a bit of money this evening and get her a few things.
Spend those rewards points at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
exactly.
I did want to add something to your comment about the generational stuff. It's like, And I think I agree with that, like, so strongly that, like,
But it's so wonderful.
yeah, it gives me goosebumps. I'm like, dude, I agree with that 1,000,000%. And I
Yeah.
think, especially after what we've all learned from the prequels,
Mm.
like, we need to introduce new generations to this, and it will be different for them. Like,
Yeah.
times change, generations are different, the content is different. Like, similar to, like, introducing your kids or different generations to your music and, like, having appreciation for it. It's like, and they're gonna like new stuff, and, like, it's gonna be different to them, just like it's different for us as individuals, like what we take out of Star Wars and what's meaningful for us. And I think the prequels were a learning opportunity for everybody involved of, like,
Yeah.
what that means. And I think that the animation and the games and stuff, I don't think we've seen the Young Jedi Adventures and stuff come to fruition yet. I think we're starting to see it more with the kids who grew up with the Lego Star Wars and, like, what that means to them.
Yes.
Like, I think we're starting to really start seeing that stuff come up. Like, I think we're, like, getting through the Clone Wars kids, and now it's the Lego kid. It's like, and that's all cool. That's great. It's more content. It's a different voices, different things. And, like, Skeleton Crew, I think, is really cool because I think it not only interests the younger kids, like, it's capturing everybody, like, except for the people who don't want to be captured, and they're like, no. But I don't care about them. I care about the people who are being open-minded about it. And, like, this seems to be one of the ones that's really capturing people across the board, old to young, better than anything else ever has.
And another thing that is so important, and I really hope that they learn, and unfortunately I believe it's a mistake. It's come by, sorry, not a mistake, it's come by accident. But the fact is the merch is available now. The merch is available now as the show is airing. And for me, that has made such a goddamn difference. Such a goddamn difference. Now, I know the merch would have been... the merch is probably available now because that was when it was always scheduled to be now. But we had a whole bunch of strikes, don't forget, which delayed the release. The Skeleton Crew should have been released a lot earlier than it has done. But fortuitously, we've got the merch being launched at the same time or available at the same time as the product or as the content or as the entertainment, as Hasbro calls it. And because of that, you'd never see me buying 2 Black Series of a program that I'd see. I bought anything else in the last couple of years? No, I haven't, unless it's been something novelty, for the Halloween stuff and the Christmas stuff that you and I get shits and giggles from. Apart from that, I haven't bought it because it's a year or two after the actual entertainment's come out. The fact that it's come out now is fantastic, and I'm particularly making a note of that because I do know it's available because I've bought it myself, and yet my daughter was saying that it's sold out in certain stores that she has looked for things to buy.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not a case of it not being there. It's actually sold out. Again, it's because the merch is available at the same time as the content. It really is that simple.
It reminds me of a time when you were able to show characters and talk, because we've known the kids, we've seen the photos, and we knew Jod and we knew Brutus. Like, we've seen them for a very long time. Like, it reminds me of that marketing strategy of, like, you could show people things and don't give them the story. Like, because just the fact that somebody's there doesn't give away the story. Like, I think some things are plagued by, like, or like it reveals too much. It's like, we can have these toys because we've known about them for a long time, and that doesn't ruin anything. Like, it focuses the story, and we happen to have the action figures because we've known about them. But certain things, we don't have a season 2 Luke because that would reveal that Luke is there with Grogu, and so you can't have that.
No. But what we used to do, and I know we've spoken about this before, but what we used to do was we used to speculate. So something, a new, back in my day,
Oh. Yeah.
Boba Fett was released. Boba Fett was available as a toy that you could purchase. I think he was originally a kind of one of those mail away figures that you could get if you collected a certain amount of Star Wars figures. You could cut out the names of your Star Wars figures and mail and pop them in an envelope. Put your address on a form, and you would get a Boba Fett figure in the post. But this is before Empire Strikes came out, so you had no idea who he was, and he ended up being relatively insignificant for the movie in terms of the plot, but significant in terms of its look, its feel. The introduction of bounty hunters into the property was something really quite funky and cool at the time. But it made you speculate, and it made you want to see the movie even more. It didn't detract from. It didn't give anything away. It was done so well. And if it's a fluke, then it's a goddamn good fluke. But the point being is that merch was available either when the entertainment was there or certainly prior to the entertainment. And having a year of speculation over what a figure was, who is this person? What do they do? How do they think the story, if indeed it's not the first episode of that story? It was amazing.
Constable Zuvio is to this day. I'm still trying to figure out what his
apparently. I was listening to the Fentanyl Make guys the other day, and apparently there are a couple of the species actually in this program, in the skeleton crew. They're actually there, probably as a homage, or maybe because they've got so many leftover costumes that were never used again from the Force Awakens, that they thought, yeah, we can get away with that. That's another thing about this program. The variety that we got. It wasn't all about troopers that are dressed the same. Even in The Mandalorians look like Mandalorians that look like Mandalorians. They have a whole bunch of different configurations of their armor, but ultimately they're Mandalorians. You got so much delightful variety with the pirates. I loved it. When he called them to invade, I loved that. You got Weequays. You've got what's his name? The Reese guy. Anyway, the point being is you've got all of these different species, and they're all dressed differently, and they're all ragtag and individual and unique, and I freaking love that shit.
Can I expand on that with a slight
sidebar
for a second? So this is something that I dream of, especially after like all these shows and stuff. So for context, I was an intern at Disney World in the Magic Kingdom, for those who don't know and haven't heard me talk about it a million times. And there's tunnels underground that you get from the different places. So the employees, they're not glamorous. Like everybody's like, oh, that's crazy. It's like, no, it's got a pneumatic trash system in it that sucks trash. So they all smell like garbage.
Shit.
And there's areas where you can't stop because it's a dip and the gas will settle there and it could like make you pass out. So they're not glamorous, but there is a section. This is all this all loops back. It's going to be a big circle. There's a section near the entrance in the back. There's a room, an area called part of costuming that's called the zoo. That gets colloquially called the zoo. And that is where spoilers, that is where a lot of the costumes, like characters, are stored, like all of their outfits and things. So you like walk by it and you just see like heads of even characters. Like it's like they made one for that. They like, why isn't that walking around in the park? What, like, oh, you see all these things, like you just kind of like, you can't really go in there, but you can see it. And so it's like, I'm like, ooh, just the idea that exists. Like, I know there is a zoo I'm assuming there is a zoo for Star Wars costumes and characters, and like they just collect it all and store it. I'm sure that's Dewey Decimal System craziness. I bet that was wild to work in like an archive, and like
Sure.
I bet that is crazy. I would love to go there and see that, and they're like, somebody's organized a system, like an asset management system of like, all right, I'm looking for some Rhodium gloves, preferably like orange, or maybe they could be painted size large. And they're like, no, right this way. And some like Jocasta new lady like, and then there's like the Indiana Jones tote bins pulled out, and there's pull out.
I have that, darling. I have that, darling.
Rhodium gloves. And it's like, oh, dude, I had that. Can I work on that software? Like that's the software's gonna have access to it and be like, what all you got?
Yeah.
Anyways,
yeah,
that's all.
No. I love that. I love that stuff. I love that kind of stuff. I love it. I absolutely love it. Well, dude, I mean, at the end of the day, there was nothing else to say apart from I hope we get more of this. Do I think we're going to get season 2? No, I've already said that. But I hope we get more of this kind of stuff because I think it's good. And I think that, like I said, I have hope in that the wry smiles of both Wim and Jod at the end of this finale is a promise of good things for the future and more adventures.
I definitely see Jod coming back. The kids, I think that'll be interesting to see how we work them in. One final thing I missed talking about. It's an applause. It's a pat on the back for the writers. I know it's still like in the weeds, but I feel like I haven't said it yet. There was a moment I got really worried that they were going to go down a trope, and I'm really, really happy they didn't do it. For a minute, I thought they were framing Fern and Wim's parents, like not getting together, but like that trope of like, are we going to become brother and sister? And like,
oh yeah.
They started like they were kind of like lining that up in a way.
I know what you mean. When they started working together. Yeah.
Oh, please don't do that. And then like at the end of the show, it's like we didn't even get like we got a kind of reunion.
No,
and then it's like, and then that's the end. It's like thank you for not doing that.
They did. In my mind, they told the story that they wanted to tell, and they didn't sugarcoat it. They told it. They literally told the story that they wanted to tell. I want to know what's happening with the planet. Yes, of course I do. Yeah. It's now out there. What the New Republic has landed. That may well be a blessing or a curse for that planet. We don't know. The New Republic has arrived, so it's going to become naturally a lot more public. We know what happened to the kids now after this experience. Can Wim go back to a life of being expected to do a particular job? No, I don't think so. What's going to happen to these kids? What's going to happen? Are these kids going to be assimilated back into society, let's say, as normal people after having the biggest adventure of their life? And while potentially still owning the Onyx Cinder. They may well be the owners of Onyx Cinder. What's going to happen to SN33? What's going to become of these people? There are all these questions. There are all these unanswered questions. That quite frankly, exactly. Are they going to go and find the other? What the hell's going on with the other 7 planets? Is that a quest?
Comic writers are like, yes.
Yeah. We're gonna do number 2 this week.
Claimsies.
Next week next year will be number 3. Year after will be planet number 4. What's planet number 4? Oh, it's I don't know. They make cheese. I have no idea. But the point I'm trying to make is that there is so much there but they told the story that they need to tell, and they left the rest of it for somebody else to tell, or just to leave it alone because it's not important for the story. Loved it, absolutely loved it, and yeah, more please, more please.
Yeah. That worked for me. Somebody sit in a room, figure out what they think worked, and like apply that going forward. I like this.
I think it's going to be great.
I think it made me feel things. I loved it.
It's great because if you got, we're gonna bookmark. We've got back to back. We're going to have a really good production, followed by a really good production. That's a really. I mean, I'm assuming that Andor season 2 is going to be the same standard as Andor season 1, if not better. And so therefore we are eating really, 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 really well. If we go from something as satisfying for me, as Skeleton Crew, straight into Andor, different tone, different tone, different objective, different demographic, but good God, we've got a good, and then it looks a little bit sparse, and then I will worry a little bit. But at the moment, in the short term, what is it Catherine said recently on it was 98 days. She's counting down today. Something like that anyway. Yeah.
Days and some out hours right now.
Yeah, 97 days until Andor. It's 5 hours, 14 minutes. We're going from quality to quality. There's not going to be a dip in value in production value. There's not going to be a dip in excellence, which is really, really encouraging. And to your point, are we seeing a renaissance here? And I hope we are. I really do hope we are.
I am so excited to analyze Andor with you as it comes out, especially if you're listening, going rogue. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but some of the stuff that was discussed on there about Rogue One and Andor a little bit, I'm like, ooh, I am interested to see if some of those thoughts also shine through this season. I'm not going to talk about the details, but if you've listened to it, you probably know what I'm talking about. And so, it's like added a whole new layer of like, ooh, yay, exciting.
Yeah. No, that's that. Yeah, that's sure. And then I guess we need to think about what comes next. And I hope that you guys that are going to Celebration, not that I'm bitter.
I think I want to give
not that I'm bitter.
Droids and have you like roll around on like an iPad. And you're just like right there with me.
Oh, that would be excellent. Hey Andy, check this out. Oh mate, I love you. Yeah, but I hope that we get to see some good stuff coming out of that as well. Because I am a little bit worried that we don't have a lot of information. But again, that could be part of the story of the Renaissance, in that we're not going to oversaturate the market with a bunch of all the fan base with a bunch of speculative information that we can't really qualify at this moment in time, which of course they've been guilty of. So, dude, it's good times. It's good times.
At the end of the day, if we run out of content, our good friend Sal posted that photo of the bookshelf, and I looked at it and went, damn, I am behind.
I saw that. And I saw your response. We're gonna build a bookshelf.
I have an idea, and it's like, you want me to build a bookshelf? I should build a bookshelf. Oh, you went the books. Got it.
That was so cool. Oh, by the way, big shout out to Catherine and Sal actually, because they recorded an episode on that Goodpod of the first arc of season 1 of Andor, and it's very, very good. 2 hours. They got 2 hours out of it, and it's a really, really good listen. I've had a really good day when it
They
comes
are
down.
talking that long.
But I've had a good day catching up with on a lot of very, very good quality podcasts today, and that is that. Nice shout out to Sal and to Catherine on that, because they get really, really in the weeds. It's a good listen. It's a very, very good listen.
Shout out to Jack the cat. He's a good looking dude.
Oh, the Jack the cat. Yeah, Jack the cat. Dude, I think we've done it. I think we've done it. It's been a very, very short time since we spoke. I am so glad we spoke today. I needed it. These tests are kind of, some of them can be a little bit uncomfortable, if I'm perfectly honest with you. So getting out of normal life and talking to you about something that I love is great. I love talking to you anyway as my friend. But dude, let's push to do the same thing, same time next week. I may still be in hospital. I may be at home. I don't know yet, but I'll certainly try to try to get on the airwaves one way or another. And I think today's worked out okay. Yeah.
Shout out to the staff for giving you 2 hour window here. This is sick.
For switching off all their machines. we've got that's so sick. Sorry, but there's a lot of people in the coma here. They switched off all the machines so I could use the Wi-Fi. Oh no, that's
whatever that is beeping back there. Can you
can you turn that off? Oh dude. Oh don't. Oh dear. I'm going to hell. Oh man.
Not anytime soon, so gotta make up for it.
All right, dude. Listen, everyone, thank you so much for listening. Look after each other, look after yourselves, listen to your body. Thank you for listening to us waffling and talking trivial stuff as we normally do. Hey Sean, why don't you take us out, mate?
I can do that. Thank you, everybody. Whew. Episode 53. We're on year number 2, man. Here we go. Big thank you to King Tom once again. Thank you to everybody who listens and sends us feedback. It really means a lot. Thank you to Andy for making it work, like fighting a good fight here to get on and chat and doing all this stuff. For anybody, if you enjoyed it, you can go to our website, justshillin.com. You can share that with other people. You can find us on all the podcatchers. Leave a review if you can figure it out. I'm convinced they don't want it. That being the podcast hosting sites. They make it so hard. But if you do it, that's fantastic. Thank you. The website also has links to our social media accounts. You can find us there, Blue Sky, Instagram, other stuff. Until next week though, where I'm gonna make it a point to try to watch some stuff besides King of the Hill, or maybe read. Maybe I'll read again. Maybe I'll start that bookshelf. Who knows? But until then, till next week, it's been fun, and may the force be with you. Actually, we'll do that.
May the force be with you. Bye.
Bye.